So I thought I would take a moment to answer, what is toxic masculinity to me? Toxic masculinity, it has the feeling that I say feeling that no emotions are allowed, that to have emotion is to have weakness, to be weak, that it isn't okay. And our whole society is built around that being true for folks who are male identified. If you're softer, if you're bigger, if you're more emotional, more apt to be vulnerable, then you find it hard to survive in a toxically masculine environment. And growing up, being born assigned female, and very early on, from what I can gather from my mother, from what I could gather from my mother prior to her, unfortunately, having dementia and having her memory become blocked to her. You know, she confirmed that at a very young age. I told her that I was just like my brother, and that I was very confident about it and very adamant about it, and they didn't know what to do. I mean, this was in the early 70s. I told them when I was 5 or 6 is what I'm gathering is how old I was. Basically being told that that wasn't possible, that I was not that I was this, and that I would have to play by these rules, so to speak, right? Well, as I got older, there were many other ways that masculinity was pushed away from me, and I was told that I couldn't have that, and I was always pushing back on that as well. When my parents would allow my older brother, who's a year and a half older than me, to go out and stay out until midnight, and I had to come home at midnight, and the only excuse that they could come up with was that because I was born assigned female. And of course, I kept pushing and pushing and proved to them that I was way more responsible than my brother and that I was able to take care of myself. And so they had no choice but to go ahead and make my curfew the same. And I think that, you know, in environments where there were a lot of men or boys, you know, I look at it like this. Every year we had a turkey bowl, our families, the Rigatusos and the Fortezos and their extended family, and we would all get together and we would play football. And it was supposed to be flag football, and it always ended up being tackle football. And like I said, I've always been a softer person, and I every year would inevitably end up getting hurt. And I was made fun of for that. And every year I said I didn't want to play. Every year they promised that it wouldn't happen. Every year it happened. I'm grateful today that I was born assigned female and that I have been able to walk the world, basically living on both sides of that. And to be honest, I'm both and. I am trans masculine in my expression. My pronouns are he, him, although I will respond to they, them. My Menominee side, my indigenous side, my native side, you know, like I said, consistently challenging these things that were pushed upon me about how I should learn how to cook and clean, or how am I going to get a good man, and And the truth was that I've always been attracted to feminine presenting people. And so, so for me, that didn't fit. I was like, you know, and I also didn't want to do that. I didn't want to stay home on the weekend and clean the house. I didn't want to learn how to cook. I didn't even really care, although today I love cooking. So, it's just this like weird irony about my life and about when I was raised and about all the messages that I received about how I'm different. And there was nothing there for me to role model myself after, even. There was nobody there to say to me, you know, it's okay. You are valuable. You are okay. I think my parents, deep down inside, always thought that there was something wrong with me, and they didn't want to. At that time, they could have locked me up. They didn't. And so I'm really incredibly grateful for that, because I don't believe that I am sick in the head. I do have a lot of trauma that I've had to overcome because of what I was forced to be. And I did it really well. I played the part very well. So I would say the biggest impact toxic masculinity has on my life now is that when people will try to hold me to this male standard of toughness, and that happened a lot right after I first came out at work. And I am just by nature an emotional person. And so I've always felt very comfortable sharing my emotions. I guess I shouldn't say always felt very comfortable, because I don't always. And I've actually been ridiculed for that. I've been called too emotional, and like I wasn't promoted in job positions because, number one, because I was gay, lesbian. Number two, because I was too emotional, or they said that I was too staunch. I had a manager tell me once. Now, he wasn't going to become my manager, and he wasn't interviewing me for this position, but I was passed up for management positions time and time and time again because I was told that I was too emotional to be a leader, number one. Then I was told that if I actually had a penis and said and did some of the things that I said and did, that I probably would have been hired as a manager the first time I applied. I applied 5 times. I had to actually leave the department to get hired as a manager. And this is as me presenting female. Now, and I mean, all of these things are so interwoven and complex and intricate, and it's so hard to like unpack it. It's not like it's not a real easy thing to unpack, as a matter of fact. And I've been talking for 8.5 minutes. I'll try to edit this down for you, though. And so when I came out as trans, the excuse for not giving me more responsibility at work is, again, I'm too emotional. Eli, if you want us to treat you like a man, maybe you should act more manly. Man up. Heard that so many times after first coming out as transgender and in this toxic work environment that I was in. Speaking of Happy presents Frankly Speaking, with co-hosts Eli Rigatuso, founder and queer transmasculine two-spirit of the Menominee Nation, and the lovely Avalisa Gallo, model, public speaker, makeup fanatic, and outspoken transgender advocate. Together, we are Frankly Speaking.